for the for almost everyone out there, all the producers / editors that you see them juggling hard drives back and forth, and they need to copy things back and forth. So the light bulb is going on, and they're realizing, when I open up my cabinet, I've got 60 or 70 hard drives. And I say to myself, gosh, I could never afford, RAID storage, but they already paid for several many times over, sitting in their closet. So and then the worst part is when they have 60 or 70 drives in there, they think, oh, well, I think it's on this drive. And like 7 years later, they pull it out and expect the files to be there. And how long is the hard drive warranty? 3 years. If you're lucky, 5 if it's a pro level drive. So a lot of these customers are realizing that they better quickly copy the content off of those hard drives into cloud. But then the whole nether level of customers realize that having cloud storage, so could be the perfect active archive for everything in their environment, everything in their shop. So obviously they want the fastest shared storage for their whole team, but it really pays to have a copy of all of that content, all their back projects, in something that's active like the cloud that they can immediately yank back if something happens.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, with video teams, we're pretty rare in that we're still the crazy performance hogs of the world. And that's few and far between anymore. Having, we all kind of know, especially now, because everybody's been trying to figure out, like, how the hell do I work from home? And you can't just throw R3D files on cloud storage and throw them on a timeline and just pretend that the world's going to work. It's just not.
Right.
And, we'll get there eventually, like Skip, I have no doubt, a few years, maybe 5 years from now, people will be editing off of Backblaze directly from their homes. I have no doubt we'll get there. But right now, I've seen a lot of video teams using the local storage for that high performance, whether it's shared storage like what we have, or a local Thunderbolt RAID, or even just a single USB drive.
Right.
And then what I've seen which is really cool, is them using the cloud as a real-time backup, a real-time mirror of their actually active projects. So there's like the backup aspect, and then there's that long-term archive. And those are the two ways that I've seen most video professionals leveraging at least pools of cloud storage, cloud storage like what you guys offer.
Right. Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit more too. Like since I do a lot of the trainings with ProMAX, with all the different companies that we work with, what I typically see is, to Nathaniel's point a moment ago, where the cloud stuff really becomes exciting for a lot of smaller companies is it's a very cheap, very accessible off-site backup that they don't have to manage themselves. And you get into like the large amounts of data, the footage, stuff like that. There's internal backup processes for that stuff. And during an active project, typically you're going to manage that locally because just the size and the speed at which it needs to be dealt with, right?
Right.
But when you can set up an active backup where you're sending, your dailies up, your smaller stuff up, on a sometimes an hourly basis. Like, are you sending up like the versions of the project files and stuff? That's an amazingly effective disaster recovery kind of situation. And it's low bandwidth and it's easy. It's not even like the obvious use of cloud storage, just getting it up and off and into archive, but doing a kind of a reoccurring backup with the smaller data is a really effective way to do it, because not only, if the worst case happens, hopefully you've got an offsite backup of the footage, and you can get an offsite backup of the footage like tomorrow if you've got local hard drives that you send home with somebody. Right. A little harder with getting an offsite backup with footage with the cloud in one day, unless you've got awesome, bandwidth, which a lot of us do now, which is cool. But yeah, no, there's a lot of different ways to access it. And I think what really drives it for most of the clients that I talk to is, the speed of access that they need and that they have for kind of the daily backup stuff, and then the just the overall size and the possibility of going back to the footage. Is it something that's going to be frequently used? Is it something that's going to be, basically we're going to check this box and the way it goes into the cloud and we're never going to see it again, hopefully.
Right.
And Brian, you brought up this workflow that I think you're referring to a while back, and I thought it was really cool what some of our guys are doing. And Skip, you might have to close your ears on this one, but somebody coming back and then using a format that we all love to hate, LTO, to back up those absolute camera raw files, because that stuff can be huge. You're shooting 6K red raw files. That stuff adds up really quick. And then using, something like LTO, or usually LTO, to back up those raw files. But then, Brian, I think what you're talking about is having, the project files, all associated media, except for the raw files, be what's doing a recurring backup to cloud storage. So that, kind of in most cases, even if that, that server goes up in flames, you can still go back and recover everything.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I want to be, to be fair, we're talking about several different things here. So what we're just describing right there is like a data integrity type backup, right?
Yeah.
And one of the bigger uses of cloud storage, obviously, and what Skip was pointing at is the archival side, where you're actually getting it out of your system and into a more secure, kind of the cloud system. So yeah, like there's a lot of different ways to utilize it, and the fact that it's there and that we can access it, there's a lot of ways to play.
Yeah.